Well, two stars of the popular reality TV series Ice Road Truckers stopped in Fenton to tour the facility that makes some of the equipment they use.
History Channel's Ice Road Truckers shed some tears tonight as an emotional episode.
Do you still remember Ice Road Truckers? One of the most popular TV series that changed the narrative, or perhaps restructured how you view reality shows? Have you ever wondered what happened to cast members who took a break and never returned to your screen? Join us as we uncover the mysteries surrounding Ice Road Truckers members that will leave you speechless. Daryl Ward. Daryl Ward was one of the most memorable drivers on Ice Road Truckers. He focused on working hard and doing his job right. Interestingly, he came onto the show during a tough season, when the roads were icy and facing difficulties was a sure task. But with his calmness in enduring intense situations, he quickly became a fan favorite. With years of experience, he was more likely to talk about the biggest storms he had ever faced than argue over profit margins. He believed that truck drivers were capable of more than just delivering goods on time. They could even save lives through the challenging times of nature. But then everything changed. On August 28, 2016, Daryl boarded an airplane to Montana, where everything seemed to be fine until right before the plane landed. It lost control and eventually crashed onto the Rock Creek of Montana. Daryl left his last breath at 52 years old. Fans who had followed his journey on the show couldn't believe the heartbreaking news. Drivers who worked alongside him lost not just a friend, but a brother in real life. Even people close to him said that Daryl always prioritized helping others. Even now, when fans talk about the early days of Ice Road Truckers, Daryl's name always comes up first. Daryl's story might have ended too soon, but his hard work and resilience continues to inspire drivers all over the world. Art Burke. Art Burke was one of the toughest drivers on Ice Road Truckers. He had a fierce combination of strong will and a never-give-up attitude. There was a time when Art kept moving through the freezing cold and icy winds where most people wouldn't even dare to drive. For Art, every time the weather turned extreme, he saw an opportunity to push even harder. Then, in 2022, Art faced something far more serious than any icy road. His house in Canada was caught up in a fire accident resulting in a massive explosion. The impact was severe and Art suffered injuries all over his body. He was rushed to the hospital and underwent several surgeries. It wasn't just his body suffering, it was actually his spirit that faced the emotional damage. The man who once survived some of the most deadly winters was now struggling for his own life. But that wasn't the whole story. He refused to give up and started his healing process. Art endured the pain and underwent the long recovery process. Fans and fellow drivers began to showcase their support for Art. He later revealed that the accident became a turning point in his life, but despite everything he found the courage to keep going. But the next person faced something far more devastating. Hugh Rowland. From the very first season, Hugh Rowland, also known as the Polar Bear, was full of energy and confidence. He guided the team to push beyond the limits. With his rough style and big personality, Hugh carved out a unique character on Ice Road Truckers. He always preferred the dangerous roads that tested his skill as a truck driver, and fans praised him for his strong determination and never-ending pursuit for challenges. But behind the scenes, things started to change. He was removed from the show due to a heated argument with the show's producers and eventually filed a lawsuit against them. Hugh was already facing severe backlash from the crew, but the lawsuits made things even worse. People began to notice the strange ending of a man who once ruled the roads. But fans still remember him for his strong will and the way he charged across those frozen roads. But while Hugh found a new rhythm to life, another Ice Road Truckers favorite had his own reasons for pulling back. Rick Yem. Rick Yem was a man of attitude. With his sharp tongue and wild hair, he was always chasing the edge. From the moment he stepped into the truck, fans knew he was different. Rick always didn't play by the rules. Instead, he preferred challenging situations like a real driver. But Rick's path wasn't easy. He was always involved in clashes with fellow drivers. He had a troubled friendship with Hugh Rowland. To some, it looked like a brave act, but eventually they realized he was too wild for the show. By then, Rick's image began to change. People began to notice his struggles behind the scenes. Rick suffered severe health problems. After years of grueling work, he finally began to unveil his pain. With the growing health complications, Rick was forced to leave the show. Some fans missed the tension he brought to the screen. Others found a new respect for the man behind the persona. Rick Yem began shifting his focus away from the show and towards family. But Rick wasn't the only one who faced a health scare that nearly cost him everything. Alex Debogorski. Alex Debogorski was one of the earliest stars of Ice Road Truckers, and he quickly became a fan favorite. Known for his long beard and a friendly smile, he always felt like a father figure on the show. Alex wanted to show the world what real ice road trucking looked like. Money mattered, of course, but even more than that, it was about hard work and faith in the process. But life on the road wasn't easy. By then, the loads got heavier, and his body started to feel the wear and tear. He also faced a few close calls over the seasons that came out of nowhere. In 2018, everything nearly stopped. Alex was faced with serious health problems that eventually led to a stroke. So he disappeared from the show, and recovery became his full-time focus. And while his time on the show might have ended, his memories still resonate with those who followed his journey. But there was one woman who tried to change everything and nearly paid the price. Lisa Kelly. Lisa Kelly didn't look like most ice road truckers. She was unique. From the moment she stepped into the driver's seat, it was clear Lisa was there to work. By then, she had no support but was still taking on the same dangerous roads with heavy loads, like other men in the show. But the process wasn't easy because people thought a woman didn't belong in those tough terrains. But Lisa tried to prove them wrong. By staying true to herself, Lisa faced constant pressures and emotional breakdowns, eventually becoming one of the toughest drivers on the show. Then came something that changed her forever. Later that year, Lisa was involved in a serious accident. She rarely shared it in public, but reports suggested she was brutally injured, and for a while it looked like her driving days might be over. So she had to resist the grueling process of truck driving. For someone who was always pushing forward, slowing down was the hardest part. Still, it wasn't over yet. Lisa began to make a comeback, stronger and even more focused. She even explained the importance of mental health in the process. Today, Lisa's name still stands as a standard for women in the trucking world. She's more than a driver. She's an example of what's truly possible when you believe in your path to success, even when others are trying to hold you back. Steph Custance. Steph Custance joined Ice Road Truckers at just 22 years old. She was young and new to the industry. Some people stated that she was too inexperienced for a job like trucking, which involves constant risk of life. But Steph wanted to prove herself right over the veterans. She started learning, and most importantly, she kept showing up, even when things didn't go her way. At first, it was really tough. The environment was brutal, and mistakes could mean disaster. But Steph kept going. She stayed focused and followed the instructions. Then came the turning point that changed everything. While driving during a bad storm, Steph's truck crashed into a huge block of ice. The truck began to slide. She eventually lost control and resulted in a tragic accident. It was one of the scariest moments of her life. Many thought it was the end of her journey, but Steph didn't quit. Even after the accident, she had the option to walk away, but instead she chose to continue driving. Before long, she returned to the same roads that nearly broke her. Steph's time on the show may have been limited, but her story resonated with people. She reminded us that being brave doesn't mean you're never scared. It means you keep going anyway. Todd Dewey. Todd Dewey was one to never back down. Whenever you needed the load to cross those dangerous roads and snowy mountains, Todd was the one people referred to. He was built on strong instincts and nerves of steel. Todd wanted to prove that he could handle any challenge. He didn't care if the job was risky. He only wanted the job done. But after just 4 seasons, in 2017, Todd suffered a severe stroke. On screen, he was the steady trucker who endured numerous storms along the way, but off-screen he was in the middle of a battle that no amount of training could prepare him for. While other cast members continued driving, Todd was in hospitals learning how to recover. The progress was slow, but he pushed through the fear and frustration to regain his initial strength. Todd's story is about transformation, a reminder that even the fiercest voices sometimes go quiet. Maya Sieber. Maya Sieber came from a far different world from the snowy mountains of Alaska. She grew up driving in the busy streets of New York City, but in contrast, she now had to drive through the icy roads. People were unsure. Could a city driver really handle the frozen wilderness? Maya wasn't just driving for herself. She was representing every woman who ever felt overlooked. At first, she struggled, but eventually learned the process and earned her place on the show. But that was just the beginning. By then, Maya began having serious issues with her neck and spine. It was due to the constant pounding of the road and hours of holding tension behind the wheel. As the seasons went on, fans noticed something. Maya began appearing less frequently. She eventually decided to leave the show. Maybe after everything, Maya found peace in living life on her own terms, away from the rush. Still, not every cast member had the chance to pull away from the show. Some were forced to say goodbye far too soon. Jack Jesse. Jack Jesse was known as one of the best drivers on ice road truckers. He was a blend of calm voice and sharp focus behind the wheels that gave everyone around him a sense of safety. But icy roads are tough on the body. For years, Jack pushed through sleepless nights, frozen mornings, and endless hours on roads. That eventually weared him down. For a man built on adrenaline and big plays, stepping back was one of the hardest moves he ever made. Reno Ward. Reno Ward always brought a kind of energy to ice road truckers that made you believe there always awaits a bigger challenge ahead. But in early 2019, Reno's world came to a sudden halt. After a normal day of work, he started feeling chest pain. At first, he brushed it off, but the pain grew worse and led to a massive heart attack. Reno's story reminds us that not every loss comes from a disaster. Sometimes the deepest wounds are the ones we don't see. While Reno's journey may have ended differently, his contributions to ice road truckers are the ones that truly mattered. Now, looking back at all these drivers and the lives they lived, it's clear that this show was never really about trucks. It was about the people that truly made the show feel special. Which ice road trucker did you like the most? And what's the one thing you loved about the show? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Click the next video on screen now for another interesting story.